Hey there, Corporate Misfits. Brittany Darrington here, and welcome to episode 27 of the Corporate Misfit podcast. I'm so excited for today's Wednesday strategy session because we have a special guest who is going to teach us the power of Pinterest. Her name is Rachel Pierre, who is the founder and host of Mommy Faceted, a collective and podcast for moms of color who are juggling motherhood, career, and real life. Now, thousands of downloads later, with a growing community, she is sharing how she grew using Pinterest. As a Pinterest strategist, Rachel has increased her clients' visibility and has also helped them to grow their viewers and listeners for their brands. So let's get ready to dive in and learn all about Pinterest and how you can get started with it.
You're listening to the Corporate Misfit podcast with Brittany Darrington, where female entrepreneurs can get powerful tips and advice on how to start, launch, and grow their business.
Rachel, thank you so much for joining me on the Corporate Misfit podcast. I'm so excited to have you and talk all things Pinterest today.
Yes, I'm excited to be here and to share what I know with your audience. I think it'll be good.
Awesome. Rachel, can you share with us, I already gave your overview, but can you also give us a 60-second overview about what you do and how you got into helping the people that you help today utilize Pinterest?
Yeah, definitely. So I started using Pinterest way back. I think I was maybe one of the first, 1,000 users on Pinterest, I feel like, because there was really not much on there. So I started using Pinterest as a normal user. And then I started a blog, just in my own personal kind of journey of motherhood. I started a blog on motherhood and began to use Pinterest with that. And I saw a lot of just great results from that. I started a podcast and I was able to convert how I was using Pinterest specifically for my podcast, and other people started to ask me, how is this working for you? How are you able to bring traffic onto your podcast and your blog using Pinterest? And so, just over time, after being asked enough, I just started to realize that maybe this is an area that, because I do know a lot about it, because I am passionate about how the platform works and I just love using it personally, I figured why not help others kind of figure out this mysterious, engine that is Pinterest, because it is different than all the other social media platforms. And so I started Peak Pinterest. And so now I help my clients to reach their goals, reach their traffic goals, their visibility goals using Pinterest based on, their specific industry and what users are looking for to be able to find my clients. And so that's what I've been doing, and it's been a lot of fun to see how Pinterest is being used by so many different audiences, so many different groups, ages, just everyone is basically represented on Pinterest, and that's what I love about it.
Absolutely. And I think so many people overlook Pinterest too, Rachel, because like you said, it's so different than all of the other social medias out there. So it's not going to be as interactive or like comment based compared to like the Instagram, the Facebook, the LinkedIn, and things like that. Can you tell us why Pinterest is so different than Instagram and Facebook?
Yeah, definitely. It is a lot different. And I think because Instagram is kind of hot right now, people kind of lean towards that and spend a lot of time there. But in reality, as far as traffic goes, Pinterest is where traffic can be actually generated from. So unlike Instagram, where they want you to stay on that platform all day long and just scroll and scroll and scroll and like and comment and watch videos, that's not how Pinterest is. So Pinterest is not necessarily something that a user will go on and, like you said, comment. They're not going to like a picture. They're going to save it. They're going to pin it for its use later. But it's really a research-based platform. It's like Google, where you would go in and search, how do I bake a birthday cake? That's what Pinterest is being used for. And so when people are looking for a specific thing, they can find, people, blogs, industries, products, whatever, that are on Pinterest because they're looking for something specific. And unlike Instagram and Facebook, where you're on the platform and whatever you see is what you see, Pinterest is where you can look for whatever it is that you want to know about. People are going on there to do research. People are going on there to get answers, to make decisions. And so if you have a business, you want to be the answer to those solutions. And that's why I tell people that Pinterest is definitely worth the time, even if you don't have 10 hours a week to spend, which you don't need. it's definitely worth the time because you want to be the answer to those questions, and people are asking questions on Pinterest. And so it's definitely different in that it's not necessarily entertainment based or, just going on to, spend a lot of time looking at what other people are doing in their lives, like Instagram and Facebook. It's more about, how do I do this? Where do I find that? What are people doing with their child, at this age? How are they dressing for this event? Those kind of questions are being asked, and that's definitely where Pinterest is so helpful.
I love that you just said that, because a lot of people go on to Pinterest and that's where they either look at it as like, okay, how do I master this thing? Why is it so complicated? But it's like what you just said. It takes you to an actual place to where you can source traffic to your website, you can source traffic to your blog, and it helps that end user to just come directly to you versus just getting on and scrolling. Like, people are specific when they get onto Pinterest, and I love that you shared that. So, Pinterest is now public. And that means now that this company has gone public, a lot of people are now taking interest in using Pinterest for their business, because now Pinterest is sharing a lot of benefits on how people can actually grow their business using this. What do you recommend for someone who is like just getting started on Pinterest? Like, where do they start and how many hours can they expect to be spending per week or per month on this platform?
Yeah, it is definitely going to be growing a lot in the next couple of years. I definitely am interested to see how going public is definitely going to be changing the platform and the users. So you definitely want to get in if you're not already using Pinterest. And just some simple things that you can do, which I recommend maybe 2 hours a week. And I like to break it up. So you don't need to necessarily find 2 full hours, which I know is almost impossible for any entrepreneur. So, you can break it up, which is what I would recommend. First thing is to change your profile over to a business account. If you're still using it personally, change it over to a business profile, and you can easily search how to do that, or you can reach out to me after this, and I will walk you through the steps. But you definitely want to have a business account so you can get the analytics behind everything. Once you have a business account, basically you just want to start pinning, play around with different images. You want to play around with different text, different descriptions. Every image that you use, you want to use a 2:3 ratio. And I like to tell people an easy way to do that is just to go into Canva, pull up their Pinterest template, and just use that. You don't have to, search all around the internet to try to find templates and all that. Just go to Canva, and it's free to get their template. Use that, and just play around with what images you have for all of your blog posts. For every blog post you have, every article, every page on your website, anything that you are generating, you want to have, 3 to 4 different Pinterest images that you can use and pin those. You want to pin one from each of those blog posts or articles or categories every single day. Try to pin, as much as you can, and you're going to see growth almost immediately in your number of monthly viewers, your monthly visitors, and then that will in turn drive the traffic to your website. So like I
Yes.
said, a couple of simple steps is just, make sure you have a business profile and start pinning and using the right size for your Pinterest template. And everything else, there's, definitely you can get a lot more technical with it. But if you're just starting out, you only have a couple of hours, spend some time getting to know what is being pinned on, your profile. Spend some time getting to know what people are liking, when they're repinning, what pages they're going to, and spend some time actually creating the images and uploading them using either a scheduler or manually uploading them. And that's how I would spread out the time throughout the week.
Yes, I remember when I got started on Pinterest, Rachel, and I was like, what is this? And I
Yeah.
used Pinterest for my product-based company and also for my service-based company. So do you recommend that it is a platform for both service-based and product-based businesses?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And even, people who are just focusing on driving people to their email list. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can use it, and products can definitely be highlighted on Pinterest. You can write a whole bunch of different things around your product and explain why your product is the best answer. Like I said, again, going back to that solution for those people's questions, or if you have a service, why your service is the answer to their problem. And those are the articles that people are going to click on, and that's where the traffic comes in, is where you're providing the answer to their questions, and that traffic is going straight to your page to either buy your product, purchase your services, get on your email list, go down your funnel, whatever it is that you've got as your end goal. That's definitely one of the great starting points of using Pinterest, is that you're already grabbing their attention because they're looking for that specific thing, and so you can definitely lead them to whatever end goal you want.
I love it because that's so true. Getting email leads was one of the main reasons why I originally went on to Pinterest. I was like, how do I gain new subscribers? I was going through the motions that most people go through, where you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, but you're tired of asking the same question over and over. And I was like, how do I do this without sounding like, okay, I'm begging for you to come join my tribe? Like, how do we get you here? And that is where Pinterest came in. And it was so funny because the first month of Pinterest, I was like, okay, this is a waste of time. Like, this thing is complicated. I don't know how to do it. This is crazy. Nothing's happening. Then all of a sudden, a month later, out of nowhere, I started receiving several opt-ins to my email list, and they were all coming from the links that I provided and placed on Pinterest. And so let's talk about that being a slow burner, because a lot of people want instant gratification. They want instant results. And so Pinterest is not necessarily always instant. Sometimes it's a slow burner. So what can people expect when they get started with Pinterest? Kind of what can they expect in regards to getting viewers, getting people to their website, getting email leads? What is kind of like the average time for that all to start taking place?
Yeah, it definitely can be a slow burn. I would say the beauty about Pinterest is the more you use it, and the biggest thing about any platform really is consistency. And I know we hear this in every, webinar and all these, everywhere, everyone's, shouting consistency, and it's the same thing with Pinterest. And, I know that's kind of hard for people who want, maybe they need to make a sale right now, or they're trying to really just jumpstart something. The time, it does take time because of the consistency that's needed. However, Pinterest loves content, and so the more you are putting content on there, they will reward you with monthly viewers, specifically on the platform. So your number of monthly viewers will grow on your Pinterest, profile fairly quickly. Maybe in 2 to 3 weeks, you'll start seeing, a couple thousand more views on your page. Now, for that to translate to your actual web page, it may take a couple of months after you start using it consistently. But the beauty about Pinterest is it kind of goes back to what's different about Instagram and Facebook. Instagram and Facebook want you to stay on the platform. They don't want you to leave. Just like on Instagram, there's only one place to put your link. You can't really take any metrics from there. You can't really determine where people are clicking because they're not really even clicking off of Instagram. And same with Facebook, is a little bit more link friendly, but with Pinterest, it's all about your content and your links and getting to your page. So it definitely will happen. It does take a little bit of time, but you can know for sure that people will start to make that transition over to your webpage the more they're seeing your content, and they will see more of your content as long as you stay consistent and put more out there on Pinterest. And I know a lot of people are worried about, well, I only have, 10 blog posts right now, and, I don't want to post the same thing over and over again. But that's exactly what you want to do, is post the same thing over and over again, because there's 250 million people on Pinterest, every week. And so they are not going to see, most likely, your pin more than once. So you want to keep putting it out there because you're catching different people every time you pin. So don't worry about, copying yourself or looking like a broken record on Pinterest. That's exactly what you want. Yeah, it kind of looks crazy when you're looking at your own profile, but that's not how viewers are going to see it. They're just going to see, your pin pop up maybe once every couple of weeks. And so that will slowly generate traffic back to your website.
Absolutely. Like you said, you have to keep pinning the same thing sometimes over and over. And it feels weird because, like you said, on Instagram and Facebook, you post once and it's kind of like, okay, be done with that picture or be done with that content for at least a couple of days and then you can come back to it. But on Pinterest, you could do the same thing over and over. Now, Pinterest can help you. You're able to grow your Pinterest through a lot of the different platforms that exist. And there are groups, and there's also Tailwind, schedulers, and Trello, and all these different things that can help you to ultimately boost your Pinterest. So
Mhm.
what do you recommend if someone has no idea about how to get involved in group boards, or even how to get started with, using a scheduler?
Yeah. So I'll start with the scheduler part first. I would recommend. So right now, Pinterest has sort of partnered and approved a couple of schedulers that are easy to use. Tailwind, you mentioned, and there's also Buffer, and both of those are approved by Pinterest, and you can easily set up. You can do a whole month's worth of pins and set it, and then not have to worry about scheduling anymore for a while. So you definitely want to use a scheduler because you can't probably spend 2 hours a day trying to pin 10 images every single day. None of us have that kind of time, so definitely want to use a scheduler. Tailwind and Buffer are right now approved by Pinterest, so those are easy to use and sign up for. As far as um, the group boards are a little bit tricky. So for some people, they work really well, and other people, they have not generated the type of leads or traffic that we would want to see. I know one of my clients, the group boards work amazingly because of her topic
Mhm.
is healthy foods, and that just works because people want to just keep seeing more and more recipes. Whereas another one of my clients, it doesn't work so well because hers is more about personal stories, and so it's kind of hard for the group board thing to kind of catch on for her. So it's definitely something to test out, which is one of the frustrating but exciting things about Pinterest is it does take a little bit of testing and playing around. So if you see something is not working, don't feel like it's you doing it wrong. It may just not work for your specific niche. But yeah, to go back to the group boards, you can find them by, if you're in any Facebook groups, you can ask, does anyone have any group boards that I could join? As you're using Pinterest and searching for different other people who are like you, maybe to get inspiration, you can see if they're involved in any group boards, and you can request to be in a group board. There's different kind of ways to find them, and sometimes you can even Google, and there will be blog posts of 10 family-friendly group boards on Pinterest, and you may be able to find a list and just request to be on all of those. So it's kind of a hit and miss sort of thing where you have to ask around to find the group boards. Um, and again, that's something that I can help with if anyone's kind of confused on where to start with those. If you're really just starting to get into Pinterest, I would maybe hold off on the group boards until you've got a handle on your own profile, and then you can kind of incorporate some other kind of strategy like the group boards or even the tribes. Those kind of things can come later as you get to be more comfortable with the platform. But yeah, definitely want to use a scheduler. And then as you see group boards, just request to be in them and see how they work out.
I love that you just said, maybe get familiar with your own profile first and really get it down, so that you can then in the future, if you want to incorporate, group boards into your strategy, you can. But I think that is so true. Getting really comfortable and familiar with how to use Pinterest on just your own board and your own pages first, then it will help you if you choose to get in tribes, or if you choose to get in anything else, it will help you in the future. Because don't be like me, everyone, where I decided to join a lot of group boards when I got started on Pinterest because I thought that's what I had to do. And I was the weakest link. I was not sharing people's stuff. And I had the admin of the group board have to email me and say, you know what? You're not doing your part. You're not sharing the information enough. You're only posting your stuff and walking away, and you have to share
Uh-huh.
other people's stuff. And so we kept running into
Uh-huh.
that situation at first. So I recommend get familiar with how to use your own page and then go into groups if you choose.
You know that it's working or not once you know what your people like. So it's just another part of waiting a little bit is you'll know if it's actually worth your time. Like you said, you got to really put a little bit of work into it. So you'll know if it's worth your time after you are comfortable with your own profile, and you know what works, what doesn't work, and all of that.
I completely agree. Now, one of the things that we hear a lot when it comes down to Pinterest is you need to share other people's material as well. So, how much would you recommend someone who is on Pinterest and they're now into the stage of, okay, I'm going to share some other people's pens as well? How much should they share of their own? And then how much should they share of others that might complement what they're doing and sharing on their page?
Yeah, I find this to be the biggest mistake that business owners are doing on Pinterest. They are pinning a lot of other people's material, other people's blog posts, and they're really just repinning what they see on Pinterest. And that is really, everything helps, but it's helping so little that you definitely want to change your strategy. So I like to recommend that people are pinning 80 to 90% of their own content. So that's stuff that you are writing, you are generating, you are creating, and that's the bulk of your Pinterest. And then you want 10 to 20% of other people's content. And the best way, if you want to get the most juice out of Pinterest, if you want to be like the Pinterest superstar, is what I would do is go, find maybe 10 other people who are similar to you, who have, similar corresponding either businesses, products, blogs, whatever, not the same thing. You don't want to, pin your competitors, but something complementary, and just, bookmark their blogs or their sites and then pin directly from them for your 10 to 20%, because Pinterest loves new, fresh content. So even if you go back to the same blogger and post, her same article 3 times, that's fine because it's new to Pinterest, as in it's a new day, it's a new pin you've created. If you just repin what you see, as in, you go to Pinterest, you type in how to make, paper flowers, and you just repin what you see, it's already on Pinterest. It's not really fresh and new. Whereas if I go to a specific blogger's website and I pin from there, then it'll be fresh, it'll be new. Pinterest will love me forever and they will reward me. So you definitely want that to be your 10 to 20%, but the bulk of your pins you want to be from your own page. New pins that you've created, new images, new fresh content is the most you want to be pinning, because you want all of your traffic. You don't want to give all of this traffic that you're working so hard to generate to other people. You want it to go to your own site. So that's why you want, 80 to 90% to be your own stuff.
Absolutely. And that's one of the mistakes I see a lot of people make in the very beginning. Like
Yeah,
you said,
a lot.
they pin everyone else's stuff. They almost like do 10% of their own stuff and 80% or
Yeah, they
90% of
flip it.
others. Hmm.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause it's
that's
easier, but the easier route is not going to give you the results that you want.
exactly. Because you're just sending, you're not going to see the results. Your competitor or the person you keep pinning about is the one who's going to see the results. So you're just doing them a favor. You're being their marketer.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing what you want other people to do for you. So.
Yes. Now, Rachel, how can we so if we have newbies who are wanting to use Pinterest, but they're like, I just can't take on another social media platform. I just can't do this whole Pinterest thing. How can they work with you? And what are some of the services that you provide to be able to help people who are looking to outsource their Pinterest strategy?
Yeah, definitely. I've got stuff for newbies and then others who are familiar but maybe just don't have the time. So for beginners, or if you're just unsure of your profile, I have an audit available. And so I can take a look at your profile and I can give you some suggestions, some tweaks in your, kind of about me section. We can tweak your titles, all of your boards. We didn't really talk about boards too much, but those titles on your boards and how you're using your boards are, there's a lot of strategy behind that as well. So if you want me to take a look at your boards and the titles, I just kind of do an overview of your profile and give you some steps to move forward, I can do just a simple audit. Or I can do an audit plus a sort of done for you part where I will just fix your profile for you and then again give you some actionable steps to move forward, so that you can know for sure that your profile is working and it looks right, the boards are all set, your about me section is all set, your pictures are all set, and then you can take it from there and move forward if you want to kind of play around with it yourself. And then for the people who are, used to Pinterest, they've, kind of got into it a little bit, but they just don't have the time, I can do complete done for you services where I offer, where I, make the images, I make the pins, I schedule them, upload them, and then I'll give you a monthly report on how your pins are doing, what your, users' favorite boards are, what your most popular pin is, and give you some metrics to really see what's working, what's not working, what we can tweak. And then every month, I make little tweaks. I add boards. I fill them with new pins. Just completely, I do everything for you. Like you said, it is an extra platform to be on, an extra step to use. And if you're not 100% comfortable, it can feel a little bit daunting. So I definitely want to be available to anyone who is, who's interested in seeing if this will work to drive your traffic. And for, I like to say for probably 98% of all industries, it will work and it will drive you some traffic. So definitely, reach out to me and we can talk about how we can get your profile up and running in a way that works for you. And then for any listeners, I am offering 20% off right now. So if you just let me know that you heard this episode on the podcast, that I can give you 20% off of your first service.
Woohoo. I love that. But I love what you said too, Rachel. You said you're able to go and analyze and make sure that things are working. I think that's something that a lot of us forget to do or don't know to do. And so what we do is we try to do all these things that might not work, but we haven't analyzed it and checked and see if it's working. So being able to provide that service is so helpful for people so that they know where they stand and they can make sure that they're making their Pinterest strategy effective and not just a burden on them to add on another social media platform.
Yeah, and you don't want to waste your time, right? So you want to be spending time on things that are actually going to work or actually going to, give you some sort of benefit. And so, it's all about saving us time because there's a lot of things that we can be spending our time on. So.
Absolutely. Now, Rachel, what is your website and your social media so we can make sure to stay connected with you and also join you on social media and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so you can find me at facebook.com/peak Pinterest, and that's PEAK Pinterest, or my email address is peakpinterestmedia@gmail.com, and I'm available if you just have questions or you want to know if something is worth like I said, worth the time, or if you think your niche maybe not good for Pinterest, let's talk about it, and I probably will try to change your mind. But yeah, if you have any questions, if anyone wants to reach out, I am peakpinterestmedia@gmail.com.
I love it, Rachel. And I'll be your biggest supporter and cheerleader in the background and saying, yes, you need to use Pinterest because it will change your business. I have seen it and I will. So thank you again, Rachel, for joining me on the Corporate Misfit podcast. I have absolutely loved our topic today on this strategy session, all about Pinterest. And I can't wait for more people to jump on this platform, utilize it to get new business and also be able to connect with more of their ideal clients. So thank you again for sharing your information with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. This was fun.
If you've enjoyed today's episode of the Corporate Misfit podcast, we invite you to check out the Corporate Misfit Club. The Corporate Misfit Club is the essential resource for female entrepreneurs who are looking to start or grow a business they actually love. Whether you are a seasoned entrepreneur in your startup phase or simply thinking about taking the leap into entrepreneurship, we've got your back, girl. With our extensive course library, monthly training, exclusive members-only discount perks, and unlimited tools. We also have a supportive community of women where our members share stories, experiences, their wins, and business tips. The Corporate Misfit Club is the perfect place to be to start, launch, or grow a business. So check it out at corporatemisfitclub.com.